All right, well, we keep our eyes on Benue, which is a major highlight throughout the day because our dear president will be heading out to Benue today, and so we'll be touching base with our correspondent to give you heads up as to what the conversations are and what the people are saying. But before that, let's get to Osun State, where we'll be talking about the outcome of an appeal court judgment a few days ago that rather than bring closure has generated more controversy. So just a quick background. In 2022, before the expiration of the administration of Boyega Oyetola was the then governor, elections were conducted in the state, local government election. But we understand from what we know, prior to that, the PDP had gone to court to seek certain relief. Well, they got those relief from the trial court. And after that election, the APP also went to court and sought a bit of some relief. Well, they also won. So at the trial court, which is the high court, the APP and the PDP won. The APC went to court. And in 2025, two judgments came out. The first judgment was that of the appeal by the APC against the PDP, and the court ruled in favor of the APC. According to that, well, they said they've now been reinstated and they took charge of the local government areas. And it generated a lot of controversy and led to the death of 5 persons. Not too long ago, the APC was trying to relist the appeal of the APP judgment of the trial court because they said issues around lack of diligent prosecution or want of diligent prosecution, which simply means you didn't follow up on your case in English. Well, that relisting has failed at the Court of Appeal. The case was heard. The judge said, well, it lacks merit and is hereby dismissed. So as we speak now, both sides are holding on to a document or a judgment. On one hand, the PDP is saying, the APC is saying, we are being reinstated, giving that PDP judgment against PDP. That's the APC saying that. The PDP is saying, now that you cannot release based on the judgment that was delivered against you of that case of the APP, the substantive case at the trial court stands, so you're no longer local government chairman. Where do we go from here? Well, the chairman of the State Independent Electoral Commission, Mr. Hashim Abioye, joins us virtually. Mr. Abioye, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
All right, Mr. Hashim, I just had to do that quick background. If you have an addition, you can make to it as well. If there are corrections, you can also make to it as well. But in making your annotations on the things I submitted as the preview to why this case is where it is, the question I want to add to that is to the effect that how come now that we're supposed to be having closure, we're having confusion?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, my heart goes to the people of Benue State and to the people of Nigeria as a whole, of which I am one. And we pray that there is a lasting solution to the escalating crisis. Now, to Osun State, we must commend Mr. Governor for taking proactive steps to ensure that the ensuing crisis on the local government Tussle is brought to an end. But let me quickly add to that. You really got the background to this issue. The only addition is that the APP's case was was immediately after the notice of election was published. But that of the PDP was before the notice of election was published. And that was what the Court of Appeal held in the PDP's case, that the case was premature and speculative. But that of the APP, it was not about any speculation. And let me clear this again, that this is OSIEC. OSIEC is at the center of the controversy. I'm clearing this so that people will not say that I'm speaking for any political party. I'm speaking for OSIEC, and OSIEC is at the center of the controversy because it was OSIEC election in 2022 that was challenged in court. The issue that has been generating crisis is that judgment of 10th February 2025, which struck out the PDP's case. And some people deliberately misinterpreted. So it was not a situation of confusion. It's a deliberate misinterpretation of the judgment of the court. They deliberately imported the word reinstatement and invented same in order to cause crisis. Because the judgment of the Court of Appeal of 10th February was very, very clear. The court must have made a finding of wrongful sack before the court will make a finding, a verdict, or will give a verdict or an order of reinstatement. The court in that case never went into whether the election was valid or not. The court merely struck out the case instituted by the PDP then against OSIEC, and that was what happened at the Court of Appeal in that case. And some people wickedly brought in the issue of reinstatement, which was never contained in the judgment. You can look at the judgment again. Now, this another judgment of the APP, which nullified the election conducted by OSIEC in 2022. So it's an issue hanging on the neck of OSIEC. And as a result of that, OSIEC knew, and having sought legal advice from seasoned legal practitioners and legal professionals, we felt that there were vacancies across all the 30 local councils. And that was why we gave a notice of election that went for a whole year. A whole year. That was in accordance with the OSIEC law and the Electoral Act. Don't forget the election purportedly conducted by this commission, I was not the chairman then, in 2022 ran for a whole 60-day period, not 360 days provided by OSIEC law itself, not to talk of the Electoral Act. So now, when the APP's judgment came, they appealed the APP's judgment, they appealed the PDP's judgment. That of the PDP, we already know the outcome. That of the APP's, they never pursued that appeal to the Court of Appeal, and the appeal was dismissed on the 13th January. The implication of an appeal that has been dismissed is that the judgment appealed against is validly subsisting. So when this issue came, and when we came, I think we came on channels the other time, and they were saying that that other judgment did not concern them, that it was APM. And when the certified true copy came out, they saw that APC was a party to that appeal, was a joint appellant on that appeal. They now went back to the Court of Appeal for a relisting, and the Court of Appeal said, you have gone to sleep for 2 years over a judgment that affected you. You knew you had a 3-year tenure. That's the word. Those are the words of my Lord Justice Obiora, who read the lead judgment. You knew you had a tenure of a 3-year tenure, and there was a judgment that was hanging on your neck. You appealed against that judgment, and you abandoned the appeal. You appealed for 2 years. That the pain you have suffered, the fate you have suffered, is self-inflicted. That voluntary non-fit injuria, you cannot complain for on a self-inflicted pain. The court went as far as saying that the lawyer who prosecuted the matter for them, or who they said they had no communication with for 2 years, their lawyer who filed the appeal for them, had been filing cases for them based on the exhibits we filed before the court. I've been filing cases for them as recent as December 2025 and January 2025, and yet you said you did not have communication with that lawyer for 2 years. The court went as far as saying that the lawyer lent himself as an instrument of untruthfulness in the hands of his client, and the court dismissed that application, meaning that the appeal, the judgment appealed against, is still validly subsisting, and you still came back jubilating that the court vindicated you. In what way, in what manner?
Okay,
and this is the situation that we have now at hand.
All right, Mr. Hashim, I'm going to be throwing the position of all sides. So let me start with the position of the APC. Okay. When the judgment of the PDP was appealed and it went in favor of the APC, yes, the court said it was speculative.
Yes, and
because you cannot build on nothing. You're just speculating. And when I spoke to one of the spokespersons, or the spokesperson of APC yesterday, he said this judgment is procedural. That was his own submission. He says it's a procedural judgment, simply meaning that it's about the legal procedure, not necessarily the substantive case. So that's why so what do you say to that?
Thank you very much. I listened to him yesterday when he was stuttering. But let me say this, that it's an attempt to bring confusion, deliberate confusion, and there is no confusion anywhere at all. You said the case was procedural, did not affect you. Let me tell you, the APP has initiated contempt proceedings against these people before the Federal High Court. And they went before the Federal High Court. Their defense before the Federal High Court, they raised the plenary objection before the Federal High Court. And you know the point of the objection. They said the matter is pending before the Court of Appeal, that they have an application before the Court of Appeal, that if the Federal High Court should go ahead to find them guilty in contempt, that it will prejudice their application at the Court of Appeal, because the order that the other subject matter of this contempt proceeding is before the Federal, is what they are contesting at the Court of Appeal, so that if the Court of Appeal release for them, the contempt proceeding will have overreached them. And the Federal High Court adjourned for that purpose. Now, let them just go before the Federal High Court and tell the Federal High Court that your judgment is needless, is useless, like some of I had one professor and one other person on, I think, Arise TV and TVC, the other.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
I hope we can get Mr. Hashim Abioye back. Mr. Abioye, can you hear us? Okay, well, we're trying to reconnect with him. Apparently, network not really in our favor this morning, but we're talking about the Osun State local government election. Two judgments, Court of Appeal, the latest is even generating more controversy. Mr. Abioye, you were saying something, so continue before my colleague comes in to ask you questions.
So what I'm saying in essence is that as it is today, it's like someone who was beaten by a snake at the two legs, and he treated one leg, he left the other leg. The person will still die. That is the issue that has befallen these people. It's even OSIEC's act that was condemned by the courts in 2022. And up till now, if you say the APP's judgment did not affect you, it affected OSIEC. We had withdrawn their certificate of return. Where was the order of the court that said the certificate of return issued to them should be given back to them? Why are they doing all this? And they went back to the council, local government council offices, sharing beer, sharing alcohol and all that. They are in Gestapo manner. They did not take over the council in such a way that was lawful. They broke into the council offices. That is what is happening in Osun State. But for peace to reign, the governor has said that those who were elected on 22nd February 2025 should just stay away from the council. They have been sworn in, their tenure is running, but they should just stay away from the council. Because these people, after losing at the Court of Appeal even on Friday, they still went back to the council offices, carrying machetes, carrying dangerous weapons. So you know that these people have posed for a show. But let me say this. You know, the other time I came here, I said the Attorney General of the Federation should please help by looking dispassionately into this issue, by not referring to only the PDP's judgment. We have not heard the Attorney General of the Federation saying anything about the APP's case. And I think that when we wrote to him, he has not in any way taking another position by saying that, oh, I have revealed the whole of it. He's our father. My own personal role model, Hashim Abioye. Attorney General of the Federation is my role model. He's our father at the bar. But I don't know why he has taken side in this Osun matter. I don't know why he's taking some pounds of flesh from Osun people. He should come out openly to tell us the situation. That is the only situation to this thing. But as it is today, the election conducted by OSIEC in 2022 has been nullified by the court, and it stands nullified up till today.
All right, Mr. Hashim, I'd like you to respond to another aspect of the APC's interpretation of this latest appeal court ruling. The APC spokesperson, Mr. Olabisi, has said that Friday's ruling has no bearing on the February 10, 2025 judgment of the Court of Appeal. He went on to say that the Court of Appeal made it abundantly clear that it was not sitting in review of the February 10 judgment in appeal case number, and then he goes on to quote that case number. What are your thoughts on the merits or otherwise of this particular interpretation by the APC?
Thank you very much. I listened to the judgment via Zoom from A to Z. my Lord was saying that they brought an application. It was not only one judgment that the court was referring to. The court referred to the judgment delivered on 10th February and the judgment, the decision of 13th January of the same Court of Appeal, that the court, that the applicant were trying to lure the court into sitting to review its earlier judgment and to resurrect an appeal that had been determined. If the court has used the word resurrect, that means you are trying to bring back a dead case. The relief they couldn't get, the relief of reinstatement that they couldn't get, and the relief they couldn't get through the decision of 13 January 2025. The one that had dismissed their case, which they could not get. They wanted to get it through the back door. The court said that they knew they had a 3-year tenure, and you went to sleep for 2 years. Now, assuming your tenure was still running, you have not less than 4 months again. Meanwhile, you had been sacked since 2022 and you abandoned that appeal for 2 years. You now woke up after 2 years to come to release. Who was the holding against? The holding was against the applicant. And who was the applicant? The APC. So if all these heavy words were spoken by the court, were said by the court against them, and you still came back jubilating, still grandstanding, definitely there is someone somewhere, some superpowers backing them up. And that is why I've called out the Attorney General of the Federation, our father, to look at this thing and review his position. And I've said it again, that the Attorney General of the Federation and the Inspector General of Police owe the people of Osun State sincere apologies by issuing directives or giving instructions that wanted to put democracy in Osun State, especially local government democracy, in jeopardy. They should review their position and do what they are supposed to do conscientiously. What I'm saying in essence is that as far as we are concerned, the APC lost in court on the strength of the APP's case, which is a subsisting judgment. And I want to say this again, that there is a proceeding, a contempt proceeding before the Federal High Court. Let them go before the Federal High Court. And what Mr. Kola Olabisi said yesterday on TV, let him go before the Federal High Court. Let their lawyer go before the Federal and tell the Federal High Court that your order is useless, it's just procedural, it's needless. Let them serve that as their defense before the Federal High Court in the contempt proceeding.
All right. And there are consequences to this continued differing interpretations of the court judgments. You know, it feels like deja vu.
Deliberate misinterpretation on their part.
Mr. Hashim, there are reports that your appointment came, as a card-carrying member of the PDP by your appointment by Governor Ademola Adeleke, and this conflicts with interests, amid all of these legal contentions. You in fact told us the last time that you were here that you had tried one of the cases. Aren't you worried about the appropriateness of it all if you were indeed a card-carrying member of the PDP?
Thank you very much. This matter, as I'm talking to you now, this matter is in court as well, challenging my appointment, and I don't have much to say about it. All the matters, all the documents, everything having to do with this case is before the court. So if all these things are before the court, so I don't have much to say about it. But I need to say this, that as at the time of my appointment, I was not carrying any card of any political party. If you say I was a member of the PDP or I am a member of the PDP, what about the APP? After all, I was a counsel to the APP as well. At the time, I had not gotten any appointment at all, and I was not contemplating any appointment. So I prosecuted the 2 cases as a legal professional. And that was why I said I will be speaking from the background of facts and law, first-hand information. The PDP's case was before OSIEC published the notice of election. The APP's case was after the notice of election was published. And it was on account of the decision of the Supreme Court in OSIEC versus Action Congress, a 2010 decision, where the Supreme Court nullified the election conducted by OSIEC on account of inadequate notice. And that was the decision upon which the 2 cases were premised. And the Court of Appeal found in favor of the plaintiffs then against OSIEC. So the decision was against OSIEC. If APC said it was not against them, it was against OSIEC. So as at the time we conducted the election, there were vacancies. So as far as my interest that you talked about now, was concerned, let me say this. If I had wanted not to be fair to all the political parties, the people of Osun State will tell you that in the history of Osun State, the election conducted on 22nd February 2025 was the best in terms of legal compliance, in terms of procedure, in terms of transparency, credibility. It was a standard gauge for credible elections. In fact, I went as far as giving these people, I mean the APC, forms on credit in order to allow them for participation when they ran to me to say that, oh, it was about for nomination form to close, but they couldn't pay yet. I said, go and obtain forms on credit.
All right,
so
Mr.
I was fair to all the political parties.
If you can hear me, just so that
Yes.
let's wind down. If you can answer this in just about a minute. Some have also raised a question about, and I'm asking you not necessarily as OSIEC chairman, or I'm asking you as a lawyer now, because it's very worrying that rather than our judgments bringing an end, because that's how it's supposed to be, or if you're not comfortable, if there's a higher court to go to, you go to, it's bringing more of this confusion. So I'm worried about electoral jurisprudence, and every Nigerian should be concerned about this. They have raised issues, I want to reference it properly, that there was no consequential order of the court. So that is why also they are standing on their ground to say, oh, this is in our favor. It's just procedural. So you can speak to that in 1 minute.
Thank you very much. You lost a case in court. There was a court decision that sacked you from office. You appealed it. You did not prosecute the appeal. The appeal was now dismissed. What's the effect of that? The effect of that is that judgment that sacks you is validly subsisting. You now filed an application to have it relisted. The application was refused. It was dismissed, and you were damned by the court, and you still came back to say that you are the victorious party in court. Please, let's look at that again. Let's look at that situation. Can you still claim victory in such a situation that you sought some reliefs in court and the court refused your relief, and you say there were no consequential order? Which consequential order are you talking about? So it's just a case of deliberate misinterpretation. And I've said it again, that if not for those who are the superpowers backing them in their act, their illegal act. Honestly speaking, those people shouldn't have spent 24 hours.
Let me just let's wrap up, Mr. Hashim. Mr. Hashim, just a moment. I give 1 minute, but just something to cross. Let me just also find out from you: does the High Court, the trial court, have jurisdiction over issues that was brought before them?
Very well. The Federal High Court has jurisdiction to deal with local government election matters, particularly insofar it has to do with the construction of a federal enactment, which is the Electoral Act. And you saw that in Rivers case, which the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal in the Rivers local government election, the Court of Appeal said the Rivers State Federal High Court did not have jurisdiction. But the Supreme Court said, no, it has to do with the Electoral Act. So, and the matter before the Federal High Court in OSIEC's case was had to do with the Electoral Act. So, the Federal High Court has jurisdiction over local government matter, insofar it has to do with length of notice.
Well, that is a contentious issue as far as local government. We're thinking that State High Court should be able to handle all of this, but it means that the controversy is not over yet. I don't know who is going to bring closure to this matter at the end of the day. Well, must thank you for coming on the program.
The Federation can help out, like I've suggested. It can.
Well, so we're talking about issues around. Just a moment. We're talking about issues around interpretation of judgment. We're talking about issues around jurisdiction. There are so many layers of the issue, but maybe we'll stick to the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which has given 2 judgments, and everybody is holding on to it as victory for us.
The 2 judgments are not controversial. They are clear, very, very clear.
All right, Hashim Abioye is the the chairman of the State's Independent Electoral Commission in Osun State. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm grateful.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and explore the issues around many things that are happening in the country, including the issues around Benue State. We keep telling you we'll touch base with Benue as soon as we can in anticipation to the president's visit to that state. Is a 1-day visit to see how peace can be restored once and for all. Join us again.